Okay, very good.
All right. Live from Wisconsin across the Civic Media and Radio Network, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. And now filling in for Pat, Chad Holmes.
Good morning. It is 6:06 here on Friday morning, May the 16th of 2025. I am Chad Holmes, sitting in for Pat Kreitlow today on mornings. Great to be back. Had last Friday and here this Friday. Pat, I think, has one more day off after this on Monday. Then he'll be back on Tuesday. He has been off in Portugal. Been seeing some of the social media postings that he has been putting out. So it looks like he's been having a wonderful time. But I'm sure everybody is ready for Pat Kreitlow to return to the program. But today we got a pretty nice lineup for you coming up a little bit later on in this hour at 6:34. I'll be talking to a Marathon County Democratic Party Chair Nancy Stencil. I get a chance to talk to Nancy every other week about what's going on in the world of politics, locally, statewide, even nationally. So we'll talk to Nancy Stencil coming up at 6:34. Then in the second hour of the program, going to be talking about an event that's coming up here in Wausau a week from tomorrow, next Saturday, the 24th of May. It'll be held here in downtown Wausau, about a block away from our studios here at 98.9 WXCO at the 400 block. It's called Wausau Unites in Love, Remembering George Floyd. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this during the course of the program, but also we're going to talk to one of the organizers of this event, Latanya Campbell. And again, it's an interesting event, but it's in the title, it talks about uniting. There's been a few folks who are not uniting, and I think that it's worth some further discussion as well. So, but we'll talk to Latanya Campbell coming up at 7:34 about that event, which is 5 years ago. We're coming up on the 5th anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. So again, I think it'll be a very interesting discussion. We'll also be joined just after the top of the hour at 7 and 8 o'clock by our meteorologist. We'll be talking to Brittany Merlot. As yesterday, boy, it was a very active weather day. In fact, here in central Wisconsin and Marathon County, I was doing some wall-to-wall coverage late yesterday afternoon into the evening, and there was at least a half a dozen separate tornado warnings, either in Marathon County or in the counties bordering on Marathon County. Plus, there were severe thunderstorm warnings and more. So we're going to get a recap on any potential damage that occurred throughout the state of Wisconsin with these storms that came through yesterday, and also look ahead towards the weekend in terms of plans, if you have outdoor plans coming up this weekend. And then finally, at 8:34, we'll be joined by our civic media sports reporter, Mike Clemens, talk about everything going on. Packers have been having some off-season camps. Of course, there's been those rumbles about Giannis and maybe being open to a move. The Brewers are just going sort of up and down. They're hanging around the 500 mark, a little bit under 500. We'll talk about that as well. So head into the weekend sports-wise with Mike Clemens coming up at 8:34 this morning. And of course, we are joined by Greg Bach. Greg, great to be back with you.
Great to be with you, Chad. How are you doing this morning?
I got to share a little story here just in the
Okay.
last 10 to 15 minutes, actually, because I'm coming into work. And normally at this hour, I am not a morning person to say
I don't really know, honestly, and this is not. I don't know what you are, Chad, in the sense of you are working all the time, up late with stuff, early in the. I feel like you are I was like you're a night owl with morning bird tendencies.
I do find that I'm falling asleep a lot earlier because, as I said yesterday,
Yeah.
actually yesterday I had a ball game and they actually moved it up because of the weather coming in. Very wise indeed. They had a 5 o'clock game. They moved it up to 2 o'clock, so I did that game. And then when I got back, all of a sudden the weather starts to roll in, and we're on the air. I'm passing along all the information. And then by the time I get done with that, I kind of just lay around, and then I fell asleep probably as early as I have in a very, very long time. It actually worked out because obviously I have to get ready to come in here this morning. But even though I did get to bed early, it was weird because I wake up to my radio, and of course it's on 98.9 WXCO because I got
Yeah.
to make sure we're on the air when I wake up every morning. And there's a rerun of Nightlight with Pete Schwab on the air. And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I think it was with sleep patterns. You know it. Sometimes it's
Absolutely.
real easy to wake up, and other times it's you're caught in the middle of a deep sleep. So I wake up. Actually, it was a little later than I thought it would be because I kind of, it felt like I was having a dream that involved Nightlight with Pete Schwab, but no, it was just I was listening to it. So all of a sudden I get up and I start getting ready. I get my take my shower, and I'm running around a little bit more than I really wanted to. So then I'm
Yeah.
driving in to work, and I get here to downtown Wausau, and there's an intersection, like a minute away from where we are, and it just goes across into the parking ramp where I park every morning. And I get there, and there's a car right in front at the stoplight. It has a Texas license plate,
Mhm.
and we're sitting there, and there's like nobody else around. And all of a sudden, it's like a minute goes by, another minute goes by, and I think we're about to the third minute. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And I
Yeah.
notice he's a little bit further back, and I think this is one of those lights with sensors overnight that,
Yeah.
and this guy is not moving, and I'm kind
Okay.
of moving my arms a little bit. I'm thinking, move up a little bit, move up a little bit, and I'm thinking, I got to get to work. Greg Bach is waiting for me to get to work. I'm going to be late for work when I'm substituting for the great Pat Kreitlow. And then finally, and there's nobody in this intersection. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I'm going around the guy. I'm just gonna.
Whoa.
I I
That's some
I
whoa.
I took the law into my own hands because I'm at the point where I'm thinking we're not gonna ever move. This guy is not moving. I think it's just a little common sense there that if that light where there's nobody around is, I mean, I don't know how long that guy was there before I got there. But I mean, it's literally 3 minutes. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. So I went around, and by the time I got just past his vehicle, the light changes because that guy needed to move up about 6 inches. I'm sorry. I went through it. There was nobody around. Okay, I know it probably, I did take the law into my own hands. I
Okay.
admit it's probably wrong, but I had to get to work.
Well,
Was
I
I
will.
wrong? Was I wrong in that, Greg? Was I doing
I
that
think
wrong?
you were well.
Should I
If
have sat
your
there
car,
forever?
okay, let's put. I'll put it this way: if your car assisted in making that light turn green, so you could legally turn, I think you were fine. I would say, had you just blasted past, and because that was what I was going to
No.
ask you,
It
is
was
that
slow. I
have you?
slowly went by. I made sure everything was clear. I mean, but it was. I have no doubt. I don't think it was coincidence that once I got past that line, where there's a line obviously there that
Yeah.
you're supposed to stop at, he
Hmm.
was behind this line. And it was
Yeah.
like, I'm thinking, you're not, you got to get there, or else the light's never going to change. And once I got past that line, the light changed.
There you
It
go.
And by the time actually I got to the intersection, it was already it was yellow on the other side. We were still red. So I know I'm getting very, very nitpicky there. So I'm not saying that I went through a green light. I still went through a red light. Fortunately, nobody was there.
See, now that's where. Okay, so it was red. So okay, because that's what
But,
I was going to ask you. That's what I
but
was going to ask you. That was what I was going to ask you. I was
I
going to
know it
ask
was
you
it
if
was red. It was red.
but
It
that's
was
what I was
red.
going to ask you. Have you ever been at an intersection by yourself, like either early in the morning or late at night, and it's red, and you're like, you know what, I'm going.
Again, the only time I've ever done, and I actually did it at that very same light.
Hmm.
For some reason, it was like it was not working.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to it because every day I come here and I always stop at that light. I mean, it's always
Yeah.
there. And one day it was, and it's like a it's a kind of a weird kind of intersection. There's like
Yeah.
it's not a normal intersection. There's like an extra road in there,
Yeah.
and it has this rotation of these like three different uh, directions that people go.
Mhm.
And usually I know exactly every day I'm kind of inching forward because I know that my light is next, but the rotation was off. It was like it was going to the other two and it was not going there, and it was literally 6 7 minutes, and
Yeah.
it was another situation where I decided to take things into my own hands because again it was like I got to get to work, but
Chad Holmes, take charge, man.
no, but it was like, but I was gonna say normally when we come in here and you start things up, I'm sort of getting into it. It's like
Yeah.
I'm still it's like half asleep. I will say that situation in itself got me going here this morning. I feel alive now
So you're
because
revved. So does that mean we might see spicy Chad
we
soon?
may well, but I mean, it was like a case where I'm starting to get really annoyed there because again, it was not a situation where it's like, oh, I got all day to get there. I'm thinking I got to get there now. Greg's waiting
Yeah.
for me. I mean, he's gonna be wondering where the heck I am. Did he remember that he's on today? It's like, no, I had to get there. But it's like all I'm thinking of, I was begging this guy.
Yeah.
I almost got to the point where I was gonna put it in park and ask him to move up. But I thought it's I don't need to do that. The guy's got a Texas license plate. I have no idea what this guy's about.
And
Uh,
as we know, you don't mess with Texas
there you go.
and their
But
cars they're in.
but it's the point that was my thought though as well, that maybe this for whatever I don't know how lights work in Texas. I don't know if there's sensors at all in Texas, but I'm thinking just move up a little bit. At least then my theory could be tested. My theory being that he's not close enough to the intersection where the light sees that there's somebody there for it to turn. But I'm sure it was that, but it was like it was really getting frustrating to me. And I'm thinking, are you gonna sit there literally all day long and wait for this light to change? And then finally, I had enough. It's before 6 in the morning. There was literally nobody around. It was like
Yeah.
it was like it was not a case where there was anybody going through these intersections. I could see that everywhere that's coming. But man, what a kind of a way to start. It started number one. I'm running late, and the number two, this light was never going to change.
Well,
And
Chad,
yeah,
you're here.
I am here.
You're here and you're safe and you're on the show and it's great. So there we are. That's
I
the
will
upside.
say it is
Yeah.
a gorgeous morning here. I mean,
I walked in and the songbirds were, the song,
oh,
like lots of them were singing. It was fantastic. And we got a little bit of storm yesterday, but it didn't last very long. And before we knew it, it was gone. And like we had the thunderstorm warning, tornado watch, but just, yeah, it was here and gone. Done.
and I was wondering about that because I know here, I mean, there's a very long line. It went right up to the UP border, and it went down
Yeah.
beyond Stevens Point, down further into south central Wisconsin, and it was really something. And I actually saw some pictures. I'm curious because Brittany Merlot loves to
Mhm.
chase these storms. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
talked to her about this. I mean,
Mhm.
I've heard some stories about it, and I'm curious to find out what she was doing last night and what she's found out because I know she researches that stuff. I actually saw a few pictures of funnel clouds, actual funnel clouds here
Yeah.
in the central Wisconsin area. I have not really heard of any significant damage at this point, but I'm sure Brittany will have that information. But it was, and even yesterday during the afternoon when I was doing this game, the wind was amazing. I mean, it was so windy, you could just feel these storms coming in. And
Yeah.
we were talking, around at the ballpark, and it's like, yeah, it's coming. It's going to be something really big, and it really was. I can't remember a time where I've been on the air. And something we'll maybe touch on later on as well, maybe with Brittany. There was been talk about how the National Weather Service being privatized. It's
Oh,
amazing how I used them last night. I was on the air for about 90 minutes straight because we have a policy here. We've done it at XCO where if there is a tornado warning, you go wall to
Mhm.
wall so people can tune in and make sure we're giving the
Gotcha.
information that you need. And without the National Weather Service, I mean, it was so wonderful for me. I got about 18 different windows
Yeah.
up to keep it, at all these different storms. But man, you cannot have the National Weather Service go privatize or go away.
No.
It has to be out there for everybody. So
Agreed.
I am Chad Holmes, sitting in today for Pat Kreitlow, who's off in Europe, off in Portugal, along with Greg Bach. We're going to come back. I got an interesting story. We've heard about the transports. We're going to talk about that coming up next here on Civic.
All right, we're out. We come back at 22:30.
Very good. I gotta go get my water. I'll be right
Okay,
back.
cool. We'll see you in a bit.
Welcome back. It is Morning at Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network. The time is 6:22 here on this Friday morning. Hopefully, everything off to a wonderful start wherever you may be. I am Chad Holmes. I am in north central Wisconsin, live from our downtown Wausau studios of 98.9 WXCO, looking out with a lot of road construction. I mean, the roads are completely tore up around here. In fact, during much of the day, you'll be able to hear it. If I was on the air right now with some of the construction, you could actually hear the construction, and our building shakes from time to time. So a quiet start. The workers are just getting underway outside, but hopefully, again, it's a beautiful morning where you are right now. I look outside, lots of blue skies. The sun is rising, and hopefully it'll be a wonderful day. And Greg, sometimes when we have some of these what we call hot button issues, it can make you mad. It can be negative. I came across really, I think, a heartwarming story, a story that says a lot about some young people, I'm very fortunate. I get a chance to be around a lot of young people with my coverage of high school sports, and I get a little annoyed when people talk about, well, they're not what they used to be, or these are terrific young people. And I came across a story out of the state of Maine, and of course, we've heard a lot about trans athletes, and way more than maybe the numbers really should indicate that. It should be in terms of the level of discussion in different areas of the country. In fact, all the country. We've heard about it here in the state of Wisconsin, and we've heard about it nationally and really all over the country. But I came across a story here that warms my heart, to be honest with you. And it takes a
Thank
lot to warm
God.
my heart.
Yeah.
We're not going to get spicy this early, so I want to
Okay.
I want to be a heartwarming start here. And it occurred in the state of Maine. And there's a freshman track athlete in Maine named Annalise Feldman. She is a freshman from Yarmouth High School in Maine. And she sent a letter to the editor of her local newspaper because her local state representative uh, started talking about this race she was in, where she finished second to a trans athlete. And the state representative named Laurel Libby. And I want to read this letter to the editor from Annalise Feldman, this freshman, again, freshman in high school. She wrote, Representative Laurel Libby, Republican of Auburn, recently used my second place finish in the 1600-meter run and that of my teammate in the 800-meter run to malign Soren Stark Chessa, the trans-identified athlete who finished first. One of the reasons I chose to run cross country and track is the community. Teammates cheering each other on, athletes from different schools coming together, and the fact that personal improvement is valued as much as, if not more than, the place we finish. Last Friday, I ran the fastest 1600-meter race I have ever run in middle school or high school track and earned varsity status by my school standards. I am extremely proud of the effort I put into the race and the time that I achieved. The fact that someone else finished in front of me didn't diminish the happiness I felt after finishing that race. I don't feel like first place was taken from me. Instead, I feel like a happy day was turned ugly by a bully who is using children to make political points. We are all just kids trying to make our way through high school. Participating in sports is the highlight of high school for some kids. No one was harmed by Soren's participation in the girls' track meet, but all we all are harmed by the hateful rhetoric of the bullies, like Representative Libby, who want to take sports away from kids just because of who they are. And that was Annalise Feldman, freshman, Yarmouth High School. And I gotta say, I get emotional reading that. I mean, in this era where we see way too much just hatred and trying to score points through cutting down others. I mean, as good as obviously a track athlete this young lady is, that that letter to the editor is as good as it gets.
Well, and I think the other thing that's pointed out too is that she says that this state elected official was using her second place victory. It's a victory. She got second place. That's great. It's faster than I can run.
Personal best.
Without contacting her, without consulting her, without thinking about it, she said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this for my own personal platform, regardless of what this young lady feels for her achievement that day or how it affects anybody. And she stood up and said, no, you don't get to use me. I don't support you. I don't support this. And don't take my great day and make it seem like it's all of a sudden been nefariously stolen from me. And that's what a lot of these people who want to rail against the less than 10 trans athletes in the NCAA do. They find ways to use other people's achievements as the fodder for their ridiculous arguments.
They try to make these young people victims. That's how they try to frame it. That somehow they are the victim of a crime by this evil person.
Yeah.
And it is horrible. It
Yeah.
is. We are all human beings. And actually, when we talk later in the show about the rally that's coming up here in Wausau, that's one of the topics that we're going to have. Yeah. That people are trying to point out, well, George Floyd was some sort of criminal. Like he then deserved to be killed. Yeah. Again, people got to start realizing that, hey, we're all human beings here.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't
we
agree
all
more.
Deserve this respect of being a human being. And the way that some people are using human beings as these pawns in their games, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
We're going to come back. We're going to have an information update. If I'm not mistaken, we're going to have the farm report, correct? I think coming up next. And then we're going to come back and talk to Nancy Stencil here on Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. I am Chad Holmes on 98.9 WXCO and the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right, we're out long break, come back at 35, and remember. So I will start the music. I will start the interview. So you're gonna have literally like 10 seconds to just be like, "Mornings with Pat Kreitlow,
Right.
stick here." Okay,
I will make sure to do that.
perfect. Thank you, friend.
You bet.
Okay.
It is morning with Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network. I am Chad Holmes from 98.9 WXCO in Wausau. Very happy to be sitting in today for Pat. He'll be back next Tuesday, I believe. So, again, not too much longer till the return of Pat Kreitlow. And yesterday, I had an opportunity to speak to the chairperson of the Marathon County Democratic Party, Nancy Stencil, and started off by saying, "Good morning, Nancy."
Hey, good morning.
Well, let's go right into it because there's a number of things I want to talk about here this morning.
Yeah.
And I was thinking kind of, big picture, because obviously you can get caught up in so many of the individual pieces of corruption and everything else going on right now.
Yes. Yeah.
But as we look forward, and obviously you're somebody that has been part of campaigns, you've run in campaigns, you've helped run campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
As we look forward, I was thinking about back, and again, people don't even care about history anymore, but I was thinking back.
Or facts, yeah.
I know, almost 50 years ago in post-Watergate, a guy named Jimmy Carter, who was unknown. At this point in the cycle, he had been unknown.
Virtually unknown, yep.
But he was a guy that was able to say, "I will not lie to you. I will be truthful. I will bring back a sense of ethics." And I was thinking, compared to today, Richard Nixon was a good government conservative.
I often think back to that, and something will come up, and I'll think, "Gosh, we thought Nixon was bad." But yeah, Jimmy Carter was. I mean, he lived his values. He showed, how to be a good person. I mean, he continued to all the way up to the end. And
I was going to ask,
need that again.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you, as somebody in your role as a chairperson of the party, as somebody that leads the Democrats in the 7th Congressional District, do you think that as we move forward into 2026, as you start to get candidates for local races, for statewide races, that we are going to see maybe candidates that say, "Hey, this ain't who we are. We need to bring back good government." Wisconsin has been known, I think, for generations until, I think, the Blocker Revolution as a place of good government. Do you think that it's possible that we could see a Jimmy Carter-like figure, whether locally, statewide, or even nationally in the future?
I do. I really do. I think we're going to see, I don't know, things seem to have to get just so bad before they go back to the good. But I think more and more people are seeing they're fed up. Look at how they're coming out in the streets for every rally and protest that's been out there. And they want to see everybody taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say from one extreme to the next. They want to see just good government, somebody who cares.
And I was saying to you as we were sitting and waiting to come on the air about how we are seeing with the way that Trump and the Republicans are running government, the idea that it's all the safeties are being taken away. All the cuts,
all of them. Yeah.
All these cuts, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in air traffic controllers, whether it's in regulations of the food industry. I think that they're basically saying we don't need these people to oversee these different areas. We are getting into a very dangerous area in that respect as well, aren't we?
And it's going to double back on us. For anybody who listened to Francesca Hong that was just on with Matt, childcare for one. Yeah. And your CNAs that are taking care of the elderly, these are like extremely important positions. And yet we treat them with the most disrespect, like it's really not a job. And I think that's going to affect our economy going down the road. How are people going to work if they don't have, say, childcare? And
they aren't going to work if they don't. They're going to have to stay home, aren't they?
Exactly. And just everything just seems right now like it's going to whatever you can make a dollar at. And that's, I think, what Trump is largely, he's in it for himself. He's not in it for us.
What about this week? Because the visuals, and I said to you, I got so upset when I saw him with the Saudi prince who killed Khashoggi.
I agree.
I mean, you talk about where we have been, and I will say, Republican presidents and Democratic presidents, at least, we had a line. I think that was
that you didn't cross.
That you didn't cross, no matter what your political beliefs are.
He doesn't care. He goes and does whatever he wants.
And he's there yucking it up with this guy, and he's going over there and basically trying to shake down these rich people for personal gain.
And then you're getting reports about, and this just opens things up. Like suddenly he appeared and the country is now safe again. And follow the money.
And again, I just think that morality is important, and
Extremely.
and somehow it is slipping away. In fact, I think last week I came across a story talking about how in Great Britain, because different countries have different ways you have to kind of put in the information when it comes to business. And the Trump organization put in a filing in Great Britain that Donald Trump is the person that still runs the Trump organization. He keeps saying here in the United States that he has put it into a trust, that his children are running it, and he has nothing to do with it. None of the things that he does affects what is being done with the Trump organization. Well, the lie was put to bed because they had to file, and they said Donald Trump is the person. And I saw a funny thing in the Onion social media.
Yes.
And it said, it had a picture of Jimmy Carter and said, I had to sell my peanut farm
Yes.
when I became president.
Yeah.
And you have this guy who literally has just shredded not just the Constitution, but the whole idea of the vestiture
of being clean and having a separation.
And you said it to me out there as well. We are seeing people that are coming out for these rallies.
Yes.
I still worry that it's not getting as deeply into the bloodstream as it should be. Are you optimistic that it's going to continue to build?
Yes, I am. I think there continues to be a divide, especially if you look on social media. It's awful.
Yeah.
But along with it, a lot of us have been talking where we want to make sure people have an action. Don't just come and yell and then you go home and you feel good.
Yeah.
You need to then reach out to these public officials, write them letters, constantly calling them, whatever. Keep holding them accountable.
I am Chad Holmes, again joined by Marathon County Democratic Party Chair Nancy Stencil. Nancy, obviously going into the next couple of months, one of the things that people have to focus on, because I've said it so many times, I know you believe it as well, is priorities and budgets go together.
Yes.
What are our priorities? You can see them in a budget, and obviously it's budget time. You were part of the public hearing, giving your thoughts on issues. What do we do now?
It's sad. There was so many people there with just really heartfelt things to say. I mean, everything from special education to nursing homes, to the Medicaid, just a host of things. And then you turn around and you see Governor Evers come out with a good budget, and over 600 items are like yanked out of it. Is there anybody out there that cares?
That is the bottom line. And I think when we talk about not just this issue, but all issues,
the negativity, and by the very people it's going to affect the most.
And the thing about it, though, is if you don't do anything, then it's so easy for these folks to kind of steamroll it.
Yes.
And
until it gets so bad, how do you roll it back then?
And that brings me to the question. I really don't know what the answer is, and maybe you have some ideas being closer to it, is how do we get those 600 different items that so often the GOP says are dead on arrival, but are very important when you talk about, again, issues of education and childcare and the environment and so many different issues that are so important to the average everyday Wisconsinite. One of the things that is very frustrating is so many of these issues are put through the lens of the very wealthy. And we talk about it as well, because obviously the tax policy and everything else, it all goes together. But so much is through that lens of, well, tax cuts for the rich. And we even talk about it. But boy, the lens has to be on the 95%
on the average
people.
Person and the story that they tell, because it's something we can all identify with. And those stories are so powerful. And people need to just keep getting out there and telling that story. Get it out there, get it heard.
I saw a story yesterday. It was talking about, discussions in Washington when it comes to Medicare, Medicaid, budgets, and everything else. And one of the aspects that was talked about is that one thing that beyond that really helped in the last number of years, the average workers' wages did go up significantly during the last administration, and we don't hear about that.
No, we don't. We don't hear those important things.
And it made me think, and maybe I'm being too simplistic here, maybe I'm being too dumb about it. The idea that if these Republicans are so gung-ho on trying to cut some of these government programs, one way to do it is to make sure a lot more people have a living wage.
Yes.
I mean, that would be the easiest way. I was thinking in terms of you want to cut budgets in Washington or Madison, just make sure that people have a living wage, and then you don't have quite the need for some of these programs.
Yeah, you're taking away every safety net they possibly have, and then you just leave them sit there. What are they supposed to do? And things like healthcare too. It shouldn't be such a for-profit industry. You work your whole life, and then you lose everything.
We were talking. I was mentioning to you about how in the past, for network news divisions, they used to not be a profit center. They were there as part of the public interest.
You turned it on, and you felt that what you heard was these people did their job to find out what was going on in your community and reported it to you.
But that's very similar to what you just said. My thought is healthcare should not be thought of in the profit realm as well.
Everything lately is thought of, and I blame Republicans for this, it's thought of profit. If you can't make a profit at it, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, you're literally right on that, because even when you think about
everything, follow the money.
I saw a commentary from the right-wing guy that runs WSAU talking about public broadcasting and PBS and the headline.
Why are they trying to get rid of it?
And the whole thing is, well, why don't they take that Elmo money? I mean, everything's being profit and loss. There are some aspects of life that should not be profit and loss.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, it does feel like everything is. And as I maybe kind of circling back to where we started, the way that we talk to the people, the candidates in the future.
Yes.
I mean, I do think that there are openings that people, if you say to them, not everything has to be profit and loss, or use the idea of, hey, you want to have less money going into some of these programs. Well, hey, then just make sure that people are getting enough in their 40-hour work week in order to be able to feed their family, have good health care.
Right.
One way or the other.
Those are the stories that don't get out there. Be it by, news outlets or what, but you look in a lot of different countries, how I think France is one of them that really has invested in their child care and how that all works and the success rate they've had with it.
No, you're exactly right. So again, as the thing about it is, I think, again, something that you try to work on and that we try to keep an eye on is trying to make people are aware of so much, but there is so much right now.
There's so
it's
much
overwhelming,
coming
isn't
at
it?
you. I think people turn everything off because they just can't deal with that much coming at them all the time.
I guess the final point is because I kind of got off target there.
Yeah.
As we get into the next few months, how can we affect the budget? What do you want the governor to do? Should he veto a whole budget? Should he fight even harder? I know he fights hard.
He fights darn hard right now.
But at the same time,
he's going to have to fight. We're going to have to fight. Get in that fight with him, and tell your stories. Say why. Get it out.
Be engaged.
To other people. Be engaged is probably the biggest thing. I'm happy you show up for all the rallies and the protests, and there is another one next week in front of Tom Tiffany's office. And stay tuned and watch Facebook and whatnot for more details on that.
That's Nancy Stencil. We'll have more coming up. It's Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right. That was great. Next segment, we got to do Free Ticket Friday.
Oh yeah.
You have the sheet up for you? Don't say the keyword yet.
No, let me pull it up.
Okay. So I'll open it with the first song, which is Woodstock by Crosby, Stills, Nash Young, and then go right into the Free Ticket Friday.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. I will see you in a little bit.
Very good. It is morning to Pat Kreitlow here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Chad Holmes, and there's Crosby, Bill, Nash, and Young as we start our daily history lesson back on this date, May the 16th of 1970. So you're going back, 55 years. I should know that. I was born in 70. Why do I have to think about that? Maybe because I don't want to think about that. But on this date in 1970, CSN&Y scored their first #1 album with Deja Vu. Woodstock on that album, Teach Your Children. Really, really good stuff.
The harmonies.
I love harmonies. I do. I
Me too.
agree with that. I mean, the bands that have the harmonies, there's something that is so very special about that. And again, what an interesting group of guys. Obviously, they've had their ups and their downs over the careers, and obviously David Crosby has passed on. But Neil Young, what an amazing career. He just keeps on going and going.
Mm-hmm.
And absolutely. We'll have some more interesting tidbits here on our history lesson. But I have forgotten, and I'm glad Greg reminded me, it is Friday.
It is.
During the course of the spring and summer, you got a chance every single Friday here on the Civic Media Radio Network to win a 4-pack of Brewers tickets. Yep, it is Free Ticket Friday. And during each of the shows, this show, Morning with Pat Kreitlow, Mantinair on Air with Jane Mantinair and some other guy.
Some dork.
Exactly right. During Tom Hartman's program, Todd Alba from 2 till 4, and Maggie Dawn from 4 until 6. Each of these shows will have a different keyword. And all you have to do is open up your Civic Media app. And I tell people all the time, if you do open up that Civic Media app, go to 98.9 WXCO because it makes me look better if there's more people that actually use 98.9 WXCO on the Civic Media app. But all you have to do is take one of the stations, you open it up, and then you'll see a button to text. And then you just take our keyword and you text it in. And so we have a keyword for this show and for a different keyword for every other show. So don't use this keyword. Hey, if you think, I remember back Chad told me it was this word. Nope, there's a new keyword every single show. And get ready. I'm going to give you the keyword for this show.
Hold on. Let me turn the boys down, and I'm going to give you a good old-fashioned, make this super duper official. Are you ready?
I am ready. Are you ready? Everybody's ready. The keyword is gold. G-O-L-D.
Gold. G-O-L-D. Make sure the spelling is correct, and don't be upset if we're insulting your intelligence.
I know.
People last week spelled run wrong.
So do it right now. Get that app open. If you don't have the app, it's real simple to get. Just go to your app store, search Civic Media, download it. It is free. It will always be free. And it's really a great piece of technology as well. You're able to be connected to every station of the growing Civic Media Radio Network. So again, our keyword for this show is gold. So make sure you do it between now and the end of the show at 9 o'clock, and you'll have a chance to win.
Not gold, Tony, you silly Billy. But you can only do it through the app. You can't just text us. You can't call it in. You got to use the app to do it.
Very good point indeed. And today, our Free Ticket Friday, you'll win 4 tickets to see the Brewers on Wednesday, June the 21st at American Family Field, taking on the Baltimore Orioles. So, actually, one of my great memories back when I was 11 years old, back when the Brewers, they won the American League back in 1982. The final homestand featured games against Baltimore. They wrapped up. There was fan appreciation night, went to games on Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. And what I remember being 11 years old was it was cold. It was very cold. It was late September. It was exceptionally cold, but it was a lot of fun going to County Stadium. And if you win, you'll have a lot of fun. Great tickets at American Family Field. So again, gold. Text it right now, and then we'll have a drawing later on today, and you'll have a chance to win. And if you're the winner, folks will contact you and get you those tickets. So gold, text it right now, and we'll remind you later in the program.
Yeah.
Some other quick tidbits concerning our daily history lesson. 1980, on this date, Paul McCartney released his second self-recorded album named McCartney 2. It's named McCartney 2 because, like his solo debut, McCartney in 1970, he plays all the instruments on the albums himself. In fact, the first McCartney album came just after the Beatles broke up, and then in 1980 for McCartney 2, Wings was on the verge of breaking up. And I gotta say, when I was thinking about when I saw this, McCartney been around for what, 60, 65 years in terms of the music business.
Yeah.
Everybody has their little dips, but boy, consistently he has been great. And I mean, even late in his career, because everybody still loves the Beatles stuff, the Wings stuff, some of the solo stuff. It's hard for a legacy act to put out new music, but when he does put out new music, it's really good stuff. I mean, the guy never settles. He tries to stay on top of things, and I just think what he has been able to accomplish incredibly, incredibly good.
Well, this is one of the tracks. Go on.
No, I'm going to say. What were you going to say, Greg? I'm curious.
I was going to say one of the tracks from that album is the hit "Coming Up." So it's just got a good, fun beat. It's a toe tapper.
Yeah. Good for the morning.
Yeah, it's good driving music. Like,
yes.
Hey man, I don't mind if the light doesn't go green. I want to listen to this tune.
Exactly. So Paul McCartney. Great legacy. The man still going strong, and I'm not saying going, but going strong when he's out there touring even to this very day.
Yeah.
And then finally, I wanted to mention real quickly, because this book takes me back to high school.
Yeah.
U2 on this date in 1987 had its first number one hit in the United States, "With or Without You" from the Joshua Tree.
Oh my God, the song.
I mean, this takes me back to high school, I tell you. I mean, Joshua Tree does hit after hit after hit, and really, really good stuff. Hey, we got a couple more hours to go with you until 9 a.m. Up in the next hour. We'll talk to Brittany Merlot. We're going to talk a lot about that weather that we had yesterday. We'll have that coming up after an information update. Coming up next. We're on Civic Media. See the thorn twist in your side. All righty.
All right. And we are, excuse me, we are out. Coming back at 7:06. Sorry. And Brittany's coming up next.
Yep, she'll be coming up next.
And then we have the update from Mr. Rob from Tigerton.
Yep.
And we'll be good to go. I will see you in a little bit. I'm going to make some coffee.
Okay, very good.
Okay. 15 seconds.
Okay.
Live from Wisconsin across the Civic Media Radio Network, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. Filling in for Pat, Mr. Chad Holmes.
Good morning, everyone. It is 7:06 on this Friday morning, the 16th day of May of 2025, and I am live from our Wausau studios of 98.9 WXCO, corner of Washington Street and North 3rd Street. I'm looking outside. Number one, it's beautiful, lots of blue skies, but number two, there's a lot of construction. Roads are completely tore up all around me as I look outside, but great Friday morning. Hopefully your day is off to a terrific start with Greg Bach. I am Chad Holmes, and sitting in for Pat Kreitlow. Pat should be back on Tuesday. And I say should be because you never know with travel when you're coming back from Europe. So hopefully everything will go smooth for Pat and his wife as they return back to Western Wisconsin. But last night, it was an active weather evening. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, we had wall-to-wall coverage with tornado warnings. I think there was at least half a dozen that were around the central Wisconsin area, different tornado warnings that we talked about into the early evening. And I know one person that just loves to keep an eye and, in fact, chase the storms is our Civic Media meteorologist, Brittany Merlot. Brittany's joining us right now. Brittany, good morning.
Good morning. Wow, I felt like I could have seen a tornado out of my window yesterday. I didn't even have to chase. There were so many tornado warnings, and I know that all of the National Weather Service, different offices are going out today. Some of them are already there on location to survey that damage. I mean, we had National Weather Service Twin Cities. They're going to be in St. Croix County this morning looking at Roberts, where there was a tornado reported and seen on the ground. There's even photo and video. Altoona, they got massive hailstones the size of softballs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like pause and think about that. That's bigger than an apple. That is crazy. Windshields are smashed out. These pictures, the hailstones look like little spikes and stars. I have never seen one that big in person before. So scary stuff.
You mentioned the National Weather Service, and I got to give a big shout out to them because last night, again, I was on the air for well over an hour straight because we do wall-to-wall coverage during these tornado warnings. And boy, the information that you get that I'm able to pass along to the listeners. And I know there's been, talk about, privatizing and losing funding. Boy, it's a public service, and there are some areas that should not be profit loss based. It should be about serving the public, and I just give a big salute to the National Weather Service for the work that they did in order to help us keep the people safe during very, very dangerous situations.
Yes, Chad, thank you so much for saying that because they are working 24/7 around the clock, looking at these conditions, forecasting it, nowcasting it, putting out those warnings, keeping us safe. I mean, I can't even count how many were active at one time. I know that the Wausau area just itself had about 8 or 9 tornado warnings just circling in at us at one time. So they were busy. I mean, we've got offices in the Twin Cities, which, is going to cover St. Croix County in that northwestern part. We've also got National Weather Service in La Crosse. They're going to be in Clark County this morning, looking at Loyal, Colby areas for a possible tornado, Portage County as well. Then we've also got National Weather Service in Green Bay, who's going to be in Marathon County, looking at Rib Falls area, possibly Croninwetter. And then we also have National Weather Service in Milwaukee, who's going to be in Juneau this morning, where there's damage of roofs being ripped off. Mayville, also the southeast side of town, not looking so good. Damaged buildings. I mean, we have all of these offices. It sounds like a lot, but now they're short-staffed. Now they're helping each other out. Yeah. Now I'm watching them. Milwaukee is going to be helping Green Bay, and now, the Twin Cities is going to be helping La Crosse out. And, they've always have, but now it's harder on them. And we're just getting started with severe weather season, and they're going to burn out eventually. This is a lot.
Real quickly, we have Rob over in Tigerton. Good morning from Tigerton. It's sunny and 56 degrees. We got a 1/4 inch of rain. We luck out with no storm damage, just branches down. When I was mowing lawns yesterday, you could feel a storm is coming, and I agree with that. He also said that Cellcom is still down, can't make phone calls, get emergency services, but appreciate the meteorologists like Brittany for the hard work they do keeping the people up to date on the severe weather. And I agree with the way that it felt yesterday afternoon. I was saying to Greg in the last hour that I was doing a ball game yesterday afternoon. They moved it up because very smartly they realized that in the late afternoon where the game was supposed to be played, that is when the severe weather was moving through. But even during the day between, it was like 2 to 3 p.m., the wind was just blowing so hard. You could just feel it coming, couldn't you, yesterday?
Oh, you could. First, it was that mugginess. It was kind of a stillness in the air. Then you could feel the breeze as those storms were rolling in. It felt, yeah, just like a
And the-
disaster. Damage was going to come. You could tell.
And there's always that look and feel when you go outside. There's a color to the sky and a feeling, and the air seems different. It's not different, it's air, but there's just a feeling. And I was watching it get dark. I mean, it was so dark by my house by 6:30. And the only thing I was happy about is that, well, I was happy that our fence didn't blow away because it was rocking back and forth. And also my dog seemed to enjoy it. Or I shouldn't say
wow.
enjoy it as much as she just wasn't bothered by it.
Wow.
I think your dog has the spirit of Brittany Merlot. Maybe your
Yeah,
dog
I wanna go
is a storm
chasing.
chaser.
Oh, did you see those green skies too in
Yeah.
Northwest Wisconsin? That was so eerie. I hate that. And you know something big is happening when those skies turn green, or at least the big hail, because that reflection off that hail usually makes them green.
That's
But
amazing.
isn't it nice then afterwards to have a morning like this, though?
Yeah.
Where it blows
Yeah.
all through, and then you look outside, and it just feels like the air has been cleansed. It was much needed rain. I know that we did need rain, right?
Yes.
That did
Yes,
help a
we
lot.
did. That helped a lot. I mean, we got anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches in some
wow.
places. Yes, there was some flooding concerns yesterday too. But we needed that rain. That should help the fire danger, lessen it and stuff. And we've got more rain headed our way today. It's going to be moving in by this afternoon, pushing into the western areas, probably around lunchtime or so, and then going off to the east. And as it moves east, it could start to strengthen a little bit. Now, we're not going to see anything like yesterday, but we could see some larger sized hail. Not the softball sized hail. Don't worry about that. But on the larger sides, 1/4 size or so, and that's going to be kind of towards the Fox Valley and towards Milwaukee. When it hits towards Lake Michigan, they'll get a little on the stronger side of things. So that'll be this evening, and then after that, we really cool down. Highs today are going to be in the low 60s far northwest to the low 80s far southeast, but tomorrow we're going to be in the mid 40s north to the mid 50s south. Some of us will scrape about 60. Yeah, and that kind of holds the same temperature for Sunday. We get just a few degrees warmer on Monday. And then you're talking about Pat coming back on Tuesday. Well, we're looking at another soaker headed our way Tuesday. So we'll see if he actually makes it back in or not. Maybe he'll be here Wednesday, but more rain that we need.
All right. Well, we'll get more details on the weekend forecast as we get into next week when you join us again in about an hour's time. But again, man, I imagine I imagine you were just swamped last night. I mean, because even I was trying to keep up with all of it. I can only imagine what the information you were trying to bring in last night. It must have been pretty intense.
It's a rush. It's a lot to keep track of all at once when there's so many going on at the same time. But we made it through. We've got this, and the communities really come together. The ones that are damaged, they're going to come together, and others are going to help, and we'll be here. We got you.
We also have another message from Rob saying the media did a really excellent job in severe weather coverage. And no, Tony, no one's dissing your Northwest Wisconsin. Just
Never.
take a breath.
I love Northwest Wisconsin.
You love all of Wisconsin, though.
Yeah.
I know. But the Northwoods and Northwest,
I know. You
don't
talked about going
You
up
know what
there
I
all the
don't
time.
like? I don't like butternut. Butternut's I'm just kidding. I've
You
never
love
been
that
there.
name.
GREGBACH butternut.
At civicmedia.gov. Thank you.
Hey, Brittany, we'll talk to you a little bit later on.
Sounds good. See you soon.
That's our Brittany Merlot joins us both at the top of the 7 and then again at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Got to mention, Rob, he had another comment. I remember this game, the Chester Markle game, because we talked about Paul McCartney and "Start Me Up." He says, "Start Me Up" was the that wasn't what's that was the it was "Coming Up" was the
Coming Up
I,
is
I
Coming Up is the name of the song. Yep.
yes, it was not "Start Me Up." It's "Coming Up" with Paul
Start Me
McCartney.
Up is the Rolling Stones.
Exactly, from Tattoo You. But the bumper music song on the NFL on CBS back in 1980, I thought of Chester Markle game-winning touchdown versus the Bears on opening day in overtime, scored on his field goal, getting blocked. Are you familiar with the Chester Markle game, Greg? Is that before your
No.
time?
Well,
Back,
I was not even 3 years old, but even still, I didn't know.
but it was in overtime. The Packers were playing the Bears in overtime. And it was back in the days where the Pack was struggling. And it was one of those games where it's 6-6 in overtime. I mean, it was just a slog. And the Packers drive and they're gonna try the game-winning field goal. And then the Bears block it, but the ball goes right back into the arms of Chester Markle. And he grabs it, he goes left end into the end zone for a touchdown. The kicker grabbed the ball and he ran around the end, and it was craziness at Lambeau Field. I still remember that game. I was a young guy back then, so Rob remembering that one. And also, I'm sorry I missed the comment early on when we were talking about the young lady in Maine who
Mm-hmm.
was second and had her best ever 1600 run. Cassandra Schultz made the point. This is exactly the point I try to make with people. These kids don't care if you are trans. They are all just trying to get through life together. They're more worried about being shot dead in class. But again, I think the kids, they realize what it is. And I love the fact that she called out an adult, a state representative,
Yep.
for basically trying to use her as a prop within her little political point that was being made. So again, I thought that was a wonderful story that we were able to talk about back earlier in the program. So again, lots going on this morning. I want to remind folks again, it is a free ticket Friday. It's a statewide text to win contest. And again, if you have not already done so, get that Civic Media app out and text GOLD, GOLD, GOLD. And then you'll have a chance to win 4 tickets to see the Brewers at American Family Field on Wednesday, June the 21st against Baltimore, as the Baltimore Orioles will be coming to Milwaukee. And again, if you haven't been to a game at American Family Field, it's a wonderful night, a summer night.
It's
Don't have to worry about the weather either.
No, and it's a great stadium too. It's a great ballpark. I love going there. It's so much fun. All the seats are great. And honestly, compared to the cities, the food and drinks aren't that bad and aren't that expensive, but they're still expensive because I'm $10 for a high life. Come on now.
I know what you
yeah.
mean there.
And Chad, I haven't gotten to a single game yet, and I need to go. I need to go. I might even try to see if there's a double header. I just need a double dose of baseball in my life.
The Brewers need you too.
Yes.
It's sort of kind
oh
of,
my gosh.
it just hasn't been. They're not able to get some momentum right now. It feels like almost every series they're losing 2 out of 3. I mean,
Yep.
we just saw that
And,
the last series.
and getting crushed in those, getting crushed in some of those.
I mean, it's still early, obviously.
Yeah.
It's May the 16th, and there's still plenty of time, but it just feels like they're having a hard time getting any kind of good mojo going, and maybe that's what they need. They need Greg Bach to be able to.
That's right. I heard Pat Murphy saying, "Where's that Bach kid? Get him in. Get him here."
Coming up, I got this story I got to share with Christy Nome. We're going to do that coming up in about 3 minutes' time. You're going to love this one, folks. So you're going to love this one, Greg. But I am Chad Holmes. It is Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. Glad to be with you on this Friday morning on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right, we're out. Come back at 22:30, and we'll be all set. Good stuff. That's done. Fantastic. All right, cool. I'll be right back.
Okay.
20 seconds.
Okay. And welcome back. It is Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network. I am Chad Holmes, sitting in today for the aforementioned Pat Kreitlow, as Pat is on vacation this week, but joined by Greg Bach, and thrilled to be with you here. I start off this Friday morning, as I said, a beautiful Friday, at least here in downtown Wausau. I am at the Wausau studios of 98.9 WXCO. Coming up a little bit later on in this hour, going to have a conversation with LaTanya Campbell. She's one of the organizers of an event that's coming up a week from tomorrow, next Saturday, here in downtown Wausau, about a block away from our studios, the 400 block, a great area to hold these kind of events. It's called Wausau Unites in Love, Remembering George Floyd. It's more than just a George Floyd event. It's about other communities that are, I think, getting caught under a lot of weight in our area, in our state. We're going to talk about the issues around that are going to be talked about during that special event. So LaTanya Campbell coming up at 7:34 this morning. And then in the second hour, we'll be joined by, I should say the third hour, we'll be joined by Civic Media sports reporter Mike Clemens, talk about Giannis, the Brewers, the Packers, and a whole bunch more. That's coming up at 8:34. But Greg, I have a story that I wouldn't believe, except that I believe everything these days, because that's the way things are going here in this country. But I'm sure you're familiar with Kristi Noem.
Oh, friend of dogs, South Dakota governor, former, lady who loves a selfie in front of, prisoners.
Yeah,
I know that lady.
But I saw a story last night when I got home after all the severe weather coverage was done. And I'm just, scrolling along, trying to find, interesting stories to share with you and with the listeners here this morning. And on the dailybeast.com, they had a story that Kristi Noem has been working with the producer of Duck Dynasty to pitch a reality TV show.
God, I already
And this one is just mind-boggling. Titled, quote, The American, end quote. I would ask you to guess, but I'm just gonna share it because this is just insanity at its craziest. The American will be a show where immigrants will compete in a string of challenges across the country for the honor of fast tracking their way to U.S. citizenship.
Oh, no.
This is a real thing that could happen. And the thing about it, the first thing that came to my mind is, again, these folks within the Trump administration, people like Kristi Noem, treat people like they are props in their lives.
Yes.
These are human
s-
beings.
They're
These are
set
human beings.
dressing. They're set dressing. That's all they are.
I mean, where is bottom here? I don't know where bottom is, because I mean, you know what it reminds me of? I'm sure you've seen the movie The Running Man, right?
Oh yeah, I love that movie. They're remaking
mean,
it.
Oh, they are. Don't
Yeah.
remake it. You know, real fast. You know what movie should be remade? The bad movies, not the good movies. Remake the bad movies. Make them better. Don't take a movie that's already good and do it again. That's my theory. But
All
but
right.
but you know, in The Running Man, basically, they were giving these people that were in jail an opportunity to win their way out.
Yep.
I mean, that was like a fantasy sci-fi movie. And now you
Yeah.
got people like Christy Nome using, and in that movie, they treated the people, the contestants in The Running Man, again, props in Richard Dawson's evil mind.
Yeah.
And pe- let's get to the basics here. Humanity. They are treating these people like they are not human beings.
Correct.
It's pathetic. I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, I mean that, and that's the thing that's ultimately the point, is that, and we, as just regular tax-paying Americans, people who are naturalized or born citizens, we're not much different to them either, because they are willing to slash and burn programs and entitlements because they want a tax cut. They're going to treat us however they want, because ultimately we don't matter to them, because we don't have the money they seek to gain their power. I don't have $1 billion to try to buy a congressman, or, maybe a Supreme Court justice. So, but there's a certain segment of the population of American citizens who can agree, who will agree and say, yeah, they're illegal immigrants. They're here illegally. Who cares what happens to them? And as long as that attitude prevails, those politicians will progress, because they'll have a segment of the people who they'll always appeal to and bring to their side over time, as people listen to certain news and watch certain shows who speak a message of hate, exclusion, and anti-American rhetoric, in my opinion.
Anti-American is exactly the way it is. This is anti-American at its core.
It's anti-human, actually. It's just anti-human.
Yes. No, you're exactly right. Anti-human. And again, I would feel dirty going home, sitting down on my couch, turning on The American, and watching people's lives used as props for our entertainment. I mean, that is evil. That's evil, in my opinion.
I don't think it will happen for a variety of reasons. And I think if it ever did make it to the air, the backlash would be severe. I just feel like that's a bridge too far for many people. And yeah.
I chuckle, because when I hear you say that's a bridge too far for some people, I mean, frankly, that bridge was so far beyond my shoulder right now. And yet some folks just continue to give excuses for what is happening within this administration, and the kind of people that they're kind of. I believe that leadership does matter, and I think that what's happened over the last 10 years, because of leadership of people like Trump and Noman, has really caused some major issues within the people of this country. Hey, we're going to take a time out. Come back with more. I'm Chad Holmes. It is Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right, we're out. We come back at 35. And this one into the break is even shorter. So
Okay.
It's going to be like, real quick.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Make sure of that.
We'll see you in a little bit, bud.
You bet.
Okay.
And good morning once again, everyone. Welcome back to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on 98.9 WXCO and the Civic Media app. I keep forgetting we are statewide today as I am sitting in for Pat Kreitlow. He'll be back on Tuesday of next week, but very happy to be guest hosting here today from our 98.9 WXCO Wausau studios. And coming up in just over a week, as it's going to be a special event here in Wausau on May 24th. It's titled Wausau Unites in Love, remembering George Floyd rally for justice and freedom, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the 400 block in downtown Wausau. We're going to talk about this event, talk about the issues as well, as we are nearly 5 years this month from the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. But to talk about it, I'm very happy to welcome one of the organizers of the event that is going to be happening in just over a week. We're very happy to welcome LaTanya Campbell. And LaTanya, first of all, thank you for spending some time with us here today.
Oh, thank you for having me and publicizing this amazing event.
Well, let's start with the event itself, and then we're going to talk, I think, maybe bigger picture. Coming up in just over a week, it's this event. Could you tell us a little bit about the event, how it came to be, and what you're hoping for coming up in about, 8 days' time as we hear this interview?
Yes, so I was approached by some community members, part of Naomi, wanting to do something in remembrance of George Floyd. They wanted to bring awareness around his death and kind of see where we're at today, if things have gotten better, if things have gotten worse. And so with that idea, I was like, well, there's a lot of things going on right now in this present climate that has people feeling fearful, people not feeling seen, accepted, or believed, or even that they belong. I said, so this would be a perfect opportunity to combine those two. George Floyd, he was someone's son, he was a person, a brother, he was a father. I know a lot of people talk about his criminal record, but if we put that to the side, he's still a person, a son, a brother, a father. And we have many people right now who are sons, fathers, mothers, sisters, daughters that are being stripped and taken away from their families and sent to other places. And so I didn't want this to be purely just George Floyd. I didn't want this to be a Black issue. I wanted this to be a community issue that's going to bring awareness to all of the issues that different marginalized communities are facing. So with that in mind, we wanted people to feel loved. We wanted people, a lot of people right now are feeling like they're in a twilight zone. They're feeling like they're on some type of island all by themselves, and they're wondering if other people are seeing what's going on. They're wondering if other people are feeling like, they're feeling. And so I felt like this was a good event to bring people together so that they can feel that love. They can feel like they belong here. They can feel seen, and they can also talk about the issues that their communities face.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was going to say part of the title is Wausau Unites in Love. And I think that is vitally important at this time because the idea of uniting is not right now happening in a lot of areas, is it? And to have an opportunity, I think, and to be able to hear these stories is something that is vitally important, isn't it?
It is. And, there are a lot of people that are having rallies and protests, and rightfully so. I didn't want this to be an event where we're screaming or yelling at someone. To me, I feel like that pushes people away. I wanted it to be where we brought people in, that we spoke to their heart and we educated their mind.
When you look at the last 5 years, actually, I was having a conversation with somebody recently because when you look back to 5 years ago, and it was not just George Floyd and the issues that came out and the protests and the voices being raised about that issue. We were in the midst of COVID as well. And I was talking to somebody and we were speaking about how 5 years ago, we don't remember it this way now, but there was a consensus that, hey, we needed to do something in terms of sacrificing in terms of trying to squash COVID. And also in the aftermath of George Floyd, I think there was a consensus for a lot of people that you can't be doing those kind of things, that you are right, that he is a person and that we all have these human rights. But now as time has gone by, I think you said it, there were people that point out, well, he had a criminal record or, well, this or that. It feels as though that we have to maybe take a step back and remember what was going on 5 years ago, and maybe the mindset of a lot of people, and what the truth is about what happened 5 years ago as it what it means today. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that does. There was a worldwide response. I don't know if it was because, I believe it was actually because we were at a standstill with COVID. And so people actually saw, and they had to lean in. I think that's why the response was as huge as it was. But I want this rally to have the same type of response, a global response that's saying that, everyone deserves civil liberties. Everyone deserves justice, due process. Everyone deserves just the right to get up and go to work and come home and just take care of their families.
Again, we're talking to LaTanya Campbell, is coming up on Saturday, May 24th, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the 400 block in downtown Wausau. Wausau Unites in Love, remembering George Floyd, Rally for Justice and Freedom. You mentioned the fact that this event not only honors the late George Floyd, but recognizes those living in marginalized communities as well. Is there a thought on who some of these other marginalized communities that will be involved in this event are?
Yes, so we have people from the African American community, women. We have people that are indigenous. We have people that are Latino, Mexican, Asian, refugees, the LGBTQIA communities, and also the faith communities. So we wanted to have representation of the people that actually live here in this community.
Kind of a hard question, but I imagine that the folks who will be part of this event, is there an underlining theme outside of just having these folks, as we sit here in mid-May of 2025? There was so much tension and I think fear in a lot of different communities. What do you think that the ultimate message that you and others that will be part of this rally are going to try to have people take away when they get to 2:00 on May 24th? Because I do think that, and I was talking to another guest earlier in the week, that there's so much going on right now, and that there's so much that is almost overwhelming to a lot of people, just adding to the stresses of everyday life. What is the ultimate takeaway that you're going to be trying to maybe build during those 3 hours on May 24th?
Well, there's strength in solidarity, right? That's what we saw with the George Floyd protest. That's what we're trying to have with Wausau Unites in Love. So when you know better, do better, right? The actual message that we want to say, that this is not a political message at all. This is a humanity message, that we must come together and do what's right to create real and lasting change. We must care about our brothers and our sisters, and they don't have to look like us. They don't have to love like us. They don't have to believe like us, but we must support and love each other.
How much of importance is just the conversation? And I ask that because there was a story in one of our local news sources, I think about a week or two ago, talking about this, and they had a link on their Facebook page and people commented on it. And there was, like, in some cases, back and forth, and some folks basically, like you said, saying, why are we honoring George Floyd? He had a record and such. But a situation like this, coming together like this, is a chance to talk maybe to those folks that may not think of things in the way that, hey, we all have the right to live, the right to try to make our lives better, even if there are potholes on that road to wherever we're heading. I imagine the conversations that will be had is something that's also very important involving in this event.
It is, and I'm hoping that people that do attend the rally, they will get some necessary tools that they need to continue these conversations. This isn't a one and done. Everybody that goes, they can talk to their family, their friends, their colleagues, and then that a conversation can keep growing and growing and growing. I always recommend people to, check out some resources and, read some books, look at the history and kind of look at how history is repeating itself, and take you out of it. So many times people are defensive and they're not willing to listen. They're not willing to understand. They're listening to attack, to defend. And so I just invite people to just take themselves out of it, listen and understand, and want to do better. Because I honestly feel like when the lowest of us are in a good place, that means the rest of us are in an amazing place.
When you have the conversations, I'm kind of curious because you obviously have a lot of conversations with folks about a lot of these issues. I mean, big picture issues. What are some of the tools that you use in order to maybe have folks that may not be as informed as you are, or may just not have the information that you have, in order to educate in some way? Are there any tools that maybe you could share with us that for these conversations? Because obviously within families, there's a lot of differences of opinion and a lot of these different kind of issues. What kind of tools do you use in terms of your conversations?
I usually try to give them a lot of resources. And I usually try to listen to understand from their point of view. And trying to, and as hard as it is to take myself out of it being a Black woman, I try to sit in that space where they're coming from and ask questions. And a lot of times when you ask questions, some people tend to get insight. And then some of those bells ring off like, oh, wait a minute, why is this? Why is that? I get them to be interested and curious so they can go dig in further for themselves.
I think something you just said about listening, that's something that I think in any circumstance as we try to navigate through these times, if you just take that moment where you don't get overly upset, because it's very easy in some of these conversations to get upset, to take that moment just to listen and then to have the conversation. I imagine that's one way to move the rock up the hill that we're trying to do right now, isn't it?
Right. And I feel like a lot of people feel like something is being taken away from them. You hear that with the DEI conversation,
Right.
which doesn't even encompass what DEI actually means, but they feel like they're being taken away from something. But right now, a lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people are losing their benefits. A lot of people are losing their homes and their farms. It's time that everybody kind of stood together.
I guess that is the ultimate about this event again, coming up on Saturday, May 24th, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the 400 block here in downtown Wausau. Wausau Unites in Love, remembering George Floyd Rally for Justice and Freedom. And as you said, it's an opportunity for people to come together, listen and talk. And I imagine that anybody out there that's tuned in, LaTanya, it really is a welcoming event, isn't it?
It is. We are going to have it for family friendly. There will be food available for kids are welcome. It is free. We are going to have a couple dance performances. We want it to be a place where you are getting informed, but you're being educated and you understand the nature of what's going on, but that you don't feel attacked, you don't feel threatened, you don't feel dehumanized.
Very good. And one reason I wanted you today is because folks around the state, on stations around the state on civic media, can hear this and perhaps come here to downtown Wausau a week from Saturday, be part of this event, and come and visit us here in Wausau and really share in this, I think, very, very special event. So again, thank you for the work that you and others have been doing. And hopefully it'll be a wonderful Saturday. Hopefully the weather will be beautiful and it'll be a wonderful chance for everybody to come together.
I hope so too. And thank you again for having me and having the courage to air this.
Oh, absolutely. Again, Wausau Unites in Love, remembering George Floyd Rally for Justice and Freedom, coming up a week from Saturday, May 24th, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. in the 400 block of downtown Wausau. And we'll be right back with more here on
Stick
Civic
around.
Media.
We got more coming back on Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. You're on the Civic Media Radio Network. Stay close.
What the heck? Ah. That was odd.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go, good buddy?
I don't know. I left the studio maybe when my screen kind of went to sleep, and I came back, and it was still the clock was running, but it had an old picture. You know, it was like when so I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
I think when my screen froze, it kind of must have frozen my connection with you because I was talking at the end there, and it was like nothing happening. It was weird because the clock that says live was still going, and I thought, oh, my voice will still be on, but yeah, I guess I gotta not leave the studio and
No, don't leave the studio.
make sure my screen stays on.
Yeah. All right, so that's taken care of. We come back at 52:20. Hit the free ticket Friday kind of pretty hard this segment, and then I don't know if he told you, Luke will be taking over the third hour. Sam is off doing a remote thing, and we should be all set.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, see you in a couple minutes.
Secret Show.
And welcome back. It is Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network. I am Chad Holmes, sitting in today for Pat. I am live from our downtown Wausau studios at the corner of Washington Street and North 3rd Street in downtown Wausau. 98.9 WXCO is your Civic Media radio station here in the Wausau area, and very glad to be able to join all of you throughout the state of Wisconsin on Civic Media. Coming up in the last hour of the program, I hear that I guess I'm going to be looked at. One of the bigwigs, Luke Mathers, is going to be in that seat. The pressure is going to be on.
The very handsome, the very
That's
capable.
what I hear. I
capital.
hear that, yes.
Luke Mathers will be joining us. Look
We'll
at
have
that.
Luke with me, and I'm sure we'll have some great conversation. We'll have Brittany Merlot back with us as well in the first segment, and then Mike Clemens coming up at 8:34 as well. Speaking of Mike Clemens, who of course is often at American Family Field covering the Milwaukee Brewers for Civic Media, it is a free ticket Friday. We just started this. Was last week the first week? I'm trying to remember. Time just has no meaning anymore.
Yes.
But throughout the course of the summer, we are going to give you opportunities every Friday. Real simple. Text to win, a statewide text to win contest where we will give 4 tickets during each of the programs. During the morning here with Pat Kreitlow, then with Jane Matinaire and Greg Bach from 9 to 11, Tom Hartman from 11 till 2, Todd Alba from 2 to 4, and then, of course, Maggie Dawn from 4 until 6. Each of those shows will have a keyword for you to text in, a different keyword for every program. So you have all these opportunities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opportunities to win each and every Friday. And our text keyword is gold, GOLD, gold. Real simple. Just open up your Civic Media app. I would say hit 98.9 WXCO because, again, I'm all about myself here. You know, it's about making me look good.
Or WAUK if you want. I don't know.
I know. But any of the stations on the Civic Media Radio Network, open up any of them, because that's the cool thing about the app as well. You are connected with each and every station on Civic Media, the constantly growing Civic Media Radio Network. And it's real simple. Just hit the text button. You don't have to say hi. You don't have to say hello. You don't have to put in a whole bunch of words. You just have to put one word: gold. And then hit send, and you'll be part of the drawing to win here for this opportunity. But the good news is you can listen throughout the course of the day, and you can then sign in 5 different times, text in 5 different times for 5 different opportunities to win. And today, the winners will get tickets to see the Brewers and the Baltimore Orioles coming up on Wednesday, June the 21st. So again, great tickets. I mean, I've been there last year. We had a Civic Media outing at American Family Field. What a wonderful area to watch the game. I mean, it is fantastic. I felt like a bigwig. I felt almost like a Republican, I got to tell you.
Well, the
I'm
clubhouse.
I'm terrible.
You're spicy, Chad. The seats are on the 3rd level. They're in they're almost like a private section of the building.
Yes.
Like you get your own,
You
get your own escalator.
You can't even go in without having the proper ticket. I mean, they actually say, "Hey, are you somebody that should be in here?"
And then you pass all these suites where people are living the greatest life with free foods and drinks. But
I know.
But just as a reminder too, not only with that, get yourself the Civic Media app to text in that word GOLD, GOLD. I know, but people misspelled the word run, so we just want to make sure. But also, you can't text the word in with your phone on a regular text line, and you can't call it in. You have to use the Civic Media app, and it's easy. Tony on the live stream asked a really interesting question about that. He said, this app must be super expensive with all it can do. No, Tony, it's free. It's free.
Well, you can give Greg some money if you want to.
Yeah,
but
send it to greg.bach@civicmedia.this is a scam.
Yeah, and the thing about it, I mean, it's a wonderful way to spend your summer. I mean, to go see a ball game. I mean, I know a lot of folks. I mean, it can be expensive, and I know that. I mean, you talked about. I mean, you go in there and you buy the tickets. You have to have the parking. You have to buy then some beverages and food, and it adds up. So we're going to do a little extra for ourselves to help you get to the game and really live the best life. And again,
there you go.
We're going to do it every Friday during the course of the summer.
Well, I was going to say,
you had a moment where it looked like you were going to say something.
I think what we should also be doing too is when you're there, if you win the tickets, go take a picture, take a selfie, take a picture of the field, and text it to us as well. We'd love to see you at the game with the tickets you won, and let us know, hey, I'm the winner of these tickets, and I'm really happy to be here, and blah blah blah. You know, it's like we want to know the time you're having. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That we do love that. We love hearing about the good times that you do have when it comes to some of these prizes. So again, do it right now. Open up the app, send text GOLD, our statewide contest. Free Ticket Fridays, chance to win the tickets, see the Crew and the Baltimore. And I'm going to say something here as well. I say wonderful time at American Family Field. I would encourage you folks around the state of Wisconsin, go to a high school game too, because it's something I talk about a lot. Most of these games, especially in the spring, it's free, and you see these games, and you get to hang out outside, get to see the local student athletes, hang out with your neighbors and your friends, and support the community. It really is. I say it always. It's the best deal in town. I mean, it is. It's the best deal in town. Come by and come out and see some of these local games. And again, get out there, meet people, have conversations, cheer on your friends' kids or your neighbors' kids, and come on out. So again, that's another thing I think that's wonderful here in the state of Wisconsin as well. Greg, I know you'll be back coming up from 9 to 11 with Jane Matinaire. Matinaire on air. Anything special that you want to share with us?
It is Friday, Chad, so that means only one thing. It's time to recombobulate with Civic Media political editor and founder of the multi-award-winning The Recombobulation Area. Dan Schaefer will be joining us at 10 a.m. He'll be here for a little while talking about all the news. He's got a new article in The Recombobulation Area talking about the 23 political officials, Wisconsin political officials, to watch in the upcoming election in 2026. So that'll be a fun time. More elections next year, but right now I'm just not even thinking about it for right now. Just keep it on my mind. But he'll be here at 10 a.m. and so we'd love for you to join us. And we always wrap the show up with this shouldn't be a thing.
make sure you ask him about Pat Snyder here in Central Wisconsin.
There you go.
Hey, we'll be back for another hour. Have a great show later, Greg.
Thank you. Yeah, that was on me. I didn't see the clock, and I was talking way too long.
Hey, whatever. We got it in.
There we go.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
No problem. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. We'll just wait for Luke to sign in, and we'll be all set. And we'll have ourselves a good morning. I hope you have yourself a good weekend.
Got a doubleheader of softball tonight, so I'll be busy.
Who's playing?
I have a Marathon and Newman Catholic. So
nice.
There you go.
There you go.
I love as long as it doesn't rain. Then
wait, what is this? Matthew and Moseny. What? Why did someone just text? Oh, they're listening to WXC. Oh, I know they're listening to WXCO. So
why am I not seeing some of these comments?
It's a text message. It's a text line. Yeah.
Good.
All right. Yeah.
Let's see here. Man, I'm ready for a nap.
Oh, tell me about it, buddy.
I know you are.
I accidentally hit stop instead of snooze on my alarm this morning, and I woke up about half an hour late, which is fine. I live close, and I wake up super early, so that for something just like that, so I didn't have to. It wasn't that bad, and I got here pretty much on time.
You got the cushion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like the old days, back in the 50-minute drive days to Waukesha, where it was like I had to be out the door by 4:15.
I cringe even hearing that.
Speaking of amazing, awesome, and he walked out the door. Gosh darn it, this is my lot in life lately. Just everyone, as I'm talking to them, they're like, "Hey, there's Greg Bach." I'm just gonna walk out the door because I don't care about. Hey, Luke, how's it going? All right.
Hang on, I can't hear you.
Also, there's a tiny.
There we go.
There's a skosh of a. No, not. All right, it's gone. All right, cool. You guys are all set. I'm gonna go record a promo, and I will talk to you all later. Have a wonderful weekend, you two.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Gregory.
Take it easy.
Bye. How we doing, Chad?
Doing good.
All right.
I'm ready for a nap though, but we're doing good.
All right. Fair enough.
Did you get my message with Mike's number?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep, I'll be all set there.
Very good. We'll have Brittany coming up here in just a few moments. And are you just going to be playing the music coming in? Because Greg was doing a live announcement at the start of the hour.
I can do a live announcement.
Whatever you want to do. Because last week I was expecting one thing and then it made me sound a little silly. But
I got you.
As long as I know what's happening.
I'll give you a live announcement.
Okay, good. Because he actually played the old the one that Pat plays every day. So
Mm-hmm. And then anything else in particular besides the music that you need from me, besides Brittany and Colin Mike?
I don't think so.
Right.
You'll be there, right, to kind of bounce off of, or
Yep. Whatever you need.
Good. Yeah, it's always good to have someone to talk to.
Always. We got just under 2 minutes until we're back.
Okay, very good.
Media Radio Network, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. Filling in for Pat on vacation, coming to us from the WXCO studios in Wausau. Here's your guest host, Chad Holmes.
And good morning again, everyone. It is 8:06 here on Friday morning, May the 16th of 2025. I am Chad Holmes, sitting in for Pat Kreitlow, globe-trotting Pat Kreitlow, off in Portugal and in Europe, and hopefully having just a fantastic time. Pat will be back with you on Tuesday morning, so again, we'll look forward to that. Coming up here in this hour, we will be joined later in the hour by our civic media sports reporter, Mike Clemens. Been some rumbles about Giannis in terms of potentially being open. And I use those air quotations to looking at some of the options that he could have outside of Milwaukee. But again, rumors. So we'll talk a little bit about that with Mike Clemens. Brewers opening up a series with the Minnesota Twins tonight. Packers hosting off-season workout. So plenty to talk about with Mike Clemens coming up at 8:34 this morning. Also, I think we're expected to be joined by Brittany Merlot here in just a few moments as well. Talk about what was a very active weather afternoon and evening throughout the state of Wisconsin yesterday. Again, I got to admit, and we are joined by Luke Mathers as well here, that I enjoy severe weather. It's sort of like doing sports, because when we have tornadoes, we go wall to wall, and I get all this information and we pass it along to the listeners. There is a certain rush one gets when you're live on the air. It's sort of like election night and everything else. So it was I hate to use the term fun, but it was actually a little bit fun doing all that weather coverage wall to wall during the tornado warnings last night here on WXCO. And there she is. There's our meteorologist, Brittany Merlot. Brittany, I know you said it before as well. It's exciting. We don't want any damage, but it is sort of exciting, isn't it?
I was going to say there's plenty of emotions going through. There's that anticipation, that anxiety, then there's that rush when it's hitting, and then there's that feeling of sadness, kind of, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? The devastation, the destruction, it makes you so worried too. So plenty of emotions we all went through last night. I know a lot of people were kind of scared, right? Leading up to the event, while it was hitting, and then dealing with the damage afterwards. A lot of places did have some tornadoes potentially touch down. Damage is done. Roofs are ripped off out of the National Weather Service Milwaukee area. They're busy today, surveying tons of damage across the state. Not only tornadoes, but also massive, large hail that was the size of softballs up in Altoona, breaking out car windshields, and of course damaging wind gusts up to 65 miles per hour were also reported outside of the tornadoes, and some heavy rainfall creating some flash flooding too. So cleanup is underway today. I know that communities really come close together while this happens. We all have each other's back, and please continue to do so. And if you see the National Weather Service out there, give them a huge shout out. They bust their butts on situations like this, and it's critical.
Yeah, as I told you last hour, I could not have done what I did last night in terms of trying to keep the folks here in the Wausau area and Marathon County up to speed on just tornado warning after tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warnings out there. There was so much coming in and what they do. And again, I think when you come back to a lot of the discussions that, well, we can save money here, we can save money there. Well, when lives are on the line, doggone it, the investment is minuscule. Whatever the minuscule investment in NWS to save one life. But if you think about it, you can think of thousands of lives that are being saved because getting the information as quickly as possible to people like me, who then can get it off to people that are listening as well, and for people like you as well. Man, you hit it on the head. Thank you, National Weather Service.
Yes, absolutely. They go through so much. They've got to really forecast all these ingredients, get the word out there to the public. They're communicating with us broadcasters too on some messages, that are really important. Not everyone's a meteorologist in this, field. So how do we get the word out? How do we keep people safe? Then while it's ongoing, how do we let them know that this is really here and on the ground? Because a lot of people don't think it can happen to them. Right. And it can. It really, really can. And you can see that through last night. And of course, before last night, we had 7 tornadoes on April 28th. 3 of them were EF1s and 4 of them were EF0s. Now, yeah, that's on the weaker side of things, but these can still be stronger. We've had that in the history, and, National Weather Service is so, so important. And it may sound like, oh, we've got all these offices in Green Bay, La Crosse, Twin Cities, Milwaukee, everybody's helping us. We don't need all of them. Yes, we do. We needed every single person last night and more. We need more, to be honest with you. That was a lot going on. That was an outbreak in Wisconsin.
And that storm itself, and as we were watching it last night, I mean, it was pretty amazing seeing that line of storm that went all the way up to the UP and then
Yep.
goes all the way down, well beyond Stevens Point, down into south central Wisconsin, as well as is rolling through this area. I mean, that was really a long storm. And as you said earlier as well, I mean, I can't remember having so many different tornado warnings. There weren't just one tornado warning. There were so many around here in central Wisconsin, and I know that's expanded even beyond central Wisconsin throughout the state.
Yeah, I was trying to count them up this morning. It looked like 30 different tornado warnings went out last night. Like you said, some people were getting cornered by 5 or 6 of them at one time into the central Wisconsin area. Some of them are just seeing one roll through, but totally severe warned with big hail, high winds. I mean, yeah, that was a beast last night. And all that heat and humidity was the fuel for it. And actually, the sunshine, too. That creates a more unstable environment, more energy for these storms to work with. So sometimes when we're sitting there on hot, sunny days thinking, nothing's going to happen, that's actually the perfect fuel for these to happen.
This morning, as I look to my right out onto Washington Street here in downtown Wausau, I mean, all I see is blue skies. The sun is
Right.
shining. Beautiful start. Is this what we can expect for today and into the weekend, or are we going to see some more rain coming up?
Well, we still have this low pressure system spinning above us. That was pretty much the warm front pushing through yesterday. And so now we're starting to see the cold front move through as this low pressure slides across Lake Superior. So we're going to see some more scattered showers and maybe some smaller storms popping up this afternoon, probably around lunchtime off to the west. Moving its way to the east, they might get a little bit stronger. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will become severe warned as it heads towards Lake Michigan. But we're not looking at anything like yesterday. Maybe just some larger sized hail, some heavy downpours, gusty winds, the run of the mill severe weather coming through. Nothing extreme with this one. So as that moves through, the colder air spills in. I mean, we're already feeling that breeze. It's still out of the south right now. It's going to stay breezy tomorrow too, but pull out of the north. And it's going to swing us down from highs near 80 degrees southeast today, all the way down to the mid 50s tomorrow, some mid 40s up north tomorrow. And we're going to hold on to those same cooler, crisp, actually kind of comfortable temperatures Sunday too, but we'll see even more sunshine. So a few scattered showers want to linger up north tomorrow morning. Those clouds slowly start to clear tomorrow, and then just beautiful and calm with the winds easing on Sunday. So honestly, Sunday's the best day of the weekend.
So fall's coming.
No.
Already. And I guess finally, I know when we've talked, it's always on a Friday, always want to know, because Brittany Merlot explores Wisconsin like nobody else that we know. What is on the itinerary for Brittany Merlot in terms of discovering Wisconsin this weekend?
I wish it was going to be something fun and cool, but honestly, I think I'm going to go to these towns that were hit, try to help clean up, see where they need help, anything, even if it's just a hug. I'm going to be out there. Yeah.
That is perfect. And Brittany, again, thanks for all the work you did last night. Thanks for the information. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope I get a chance to talk to you again real soon.
Seriously, I know. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you.
That is our meteorologist, Brittany Merlot, joins us in the 7 o'clock hour and the 8 o'clock hour here on Mornings with Pat Kreitlow each and every weekday morning. Before we continue, again, a reminder, it is Friday. So it means a chance for you to win, and a really exciting contest at statewide Text to Win contest here with Civic Media. It is Free Ticket Fridays. What a better way to get into the weekend than a chance to win tickets. You see Luke Mathers, if you're watching the video, wearing his Brewer hat. You may see Luke Mathers at American Family Field if you win these tickets. But the thing about these tickets as well, they're outstanding tickets. It's almost like getting the call. If you're behind the velvet rope, you get called, you get a chance to get wonderful seats. You see everything so beautifully from these Civic Media tickets at American Family Field. And it's real easy. You actually get 5 different chances to win each Friday because each of our shows has a different keyword. We have the keyword here for this program, which I'll give you again in just a moment. But then keep tuned in throughout the day. Tune in to Matt and Air on Air. Jane and Greg will have another keyword between 9 and 11 a.m. Then, of course, Tom Hartman from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Tom will give you a keyword to text in and win as well. Of course, you got the great Todd Alba between 2 and 4, and finishing it up will be Maggie Dawn between 4 and 6. So listen to all 5 of our programs during the course of your Friday. Text in the keyword during each of these shows, and you'll have a chance to win in this statewide drawing. So get that Civic Media app opened up right now, because I'm going to give you that keyword one more time. Actually, I'll give it to you again later, but
One more time this segment, right, Chad?
but hey, better to take care of business right away. Don't. It's like paying your bills. You don't want to wait till the last second. If you do it, you won't forget this way. So again, the only way you can do it is through the Civic Media app. And as I mentioned earlier, it's free, it's simple, and it's also just an outstanding piece of technology. Civic Media keeps growing and growing and growing, and you don't have to download 20, 25 apps to keep up to speed on all of our stations. It's all under one roof. The Civic Media app, you open it up, you'll see all the stations. And as I said earlier, Luke, I hope when people open up the app to send in this keyword, they open up the 98.9 WXCO part of the app, because it makes me look good. If you get more texting in through the 98.9 WXCO part of the app, it makes me look good, and it's all about making me look good. So open up the app. And again, you can use any of the stations, but if you have a chance, just click on 98.9 WXCO and then hit the button that says text, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to give us your name. You don't have to give us your address, because we'll contact you through the texting app. All you have to do is one word. And for this hour, for this program this morning, the keyword is gold. 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 So again, open up the app, hit the text button, and then just type in gold. Real simple. So again, really fun. And this time around for today, the tickets will be for the June 21st game against the Baltimore Orioles. And Luke,
it's going to be May 21st, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're not quite yet to June.
Oh, so this coming week, actually.
This upcoming week.
I'm sorry about that. Doggone it. So, hey, you can spend your Wednesday night over at American Family Field seeing the Crew and the Baltimore Orioles. And back when I was 11 years old, I saw Milwaukee play Baltimore. The year they went to the World Series, the last home games of the season. And back then it was late September, and it was really cold. Now you don't have to worry about that. So, again, wonderful seats. So, again, text GOLD right now for your chance to win in our Free Ticket Fridays. Statewide text to win contest, and make sure you tune in during the rest of the day. They'll have different keywords. So again, this is only for this show. It will wrap up at 9 o'clock. So after 9 o'clock, gold will not work. You'll have to listen in to Jane and Greg and get the next keyword after 9 o'clock. We're going to take a quick timeout and then come back with more. I am Chad Holmes, sitting in for Pat Kreitlow. Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network.
minute until we're back.
Okie doke. And welcome back. It is Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network. I am Chad Holmes, sitting in today. Earlier in the week, a fantastic job done by Matt Rothschild and Angela Lang. They were sitting in for Pat Monday through Thursday. And of course, Pat should be back next Tuesday. I know everybody will be very happy to see Pat Kreitlow back in the big chair here mornings from 6 until 9 a.m. throughout the state of Wisconsin on Civic Media. And Luke, there was a story I kind of touched on back in the first hour of the show this morning. And I was thinking about, in this segment, talking a bit about Donald Trump's trip abroad. But this is a story that actually I want to bring back for folks that may have missed it, because it's a positive story. And I think that sometimes we don't talk too much about the positive aspects, that we get bogged down in too much negativity. And this one really, it moved me, to be honest with you. I actually was talking about this, and I got a little bit emotional, because I get an opportunity to see a lot of student athletes in our coverage of high school sports here in the central Wisconsin area. And I just find them to be, such a sunshine. I really do think that the future does have a lot of really terrific young people that are going to take positions of influence and really lead us in the right direction. And this story out of the state of Maine just really made me feel good, because we saw a young person push back on a narrative in a way that I don't think a lot of adults could have done. And basically, there was a freshman in Maine named Annalise Feldman. And she is a high school track runner. And she sent a letter to the editor of their local paper because a state house representative in Maine started talking about it and basically trying to use her and a teammate as props in her anti-trans push, the state representative. And this letter was so perfect. And I want to share it with our listeners, because I hope it makes folks feel as good as it makes me feel to see a freshman in high school, a freshman athlete, be able to say things in such a perfect way, because we hear so much about this trans athletic issue when there are so few that are involved in it, number one. And number two, they're still young people just trying to find their way in life. But this is the letter that Annalise Feldman, freshman at Yarmouth High School in Maine, wrote to their local paper. She said, Representative Laurel Libby, Republican of Auburn, recently used my second place finish in the 1,600-meter run and that of my teammate in the 800-meter run to malign Soren Stark Chessa, the trans-identified athlete who finished first. One of the reasons I chose to run cross country and track is the community. Teammates cheering each other on, athletes from different schools coming together, and the fact that personal improvement is valued as much as, if not more than, the place that we finish. Last Friday, I ran the fastest 1,600-meter race I have ever run in middle school or high school track, and earned varsity status by my school standards. I am extremely proud of the effort I put into the race and the time that I achieved. The fact that someone else finished in front of me didn't diminish the happiness I felt after finishing that race. I don't feel like first place was taken from me. Instead, I feel like a happy day was turned ugly by a bully who's using children to make political points. We are all just kids trying to make our way through high school. Participating in sports is the highlight of high school for some kids. No one was harmed by Soren's participation in the girls' track meet, but we are all harmed by the hateful rhetoric of bullies like Representative Lilly, who want to take sports away from some kids just because of who they are. That was Annalise Feldman, freshman, Yarmouth High School, Yarmouth, Maine. We have heard a lot from politicians and activists about the trans issue, and then specifically within the trans sports issue. I've said things on the air. I've heard other people say things on the air. I'm not sure I've seen anybody say it as well as that. That you got right to the core, right to the core of that these are young people who just want to participate. These are young people who are finding their way in life. And the way that some politicians use these kids as props is wrong. And I don't know how this young freshman had it in her to write that letter. I have no idea how she has the maturity to put it all in such a perfect way to kind of explain that this is a human issue. This is about, instead of trying to knock each other down, to try to lift each other up. And the way that she put athletics, and I've seen that a lot as well, that the teammates that cheer on each other, that try to come together as a small community, and to have somebody from the outside try to poke at it, to try to take away some of the threads that bring it together. I know that you've been on the air a lot, Luke, and others have been on the air a lot. I wish I had the capability of putting my thoughts together in such a perfect way in order to make a point on such an important issue. And again, the idea of hurting others to make a political point, I don't get that. I think that instead of knocking each other down, we need to start bringing people together. It makes my heart feel good to see a youngster like that, knowing that she's going to be somebody that I think for sure will be a leader within her community, and who knows, maybe a leader within her state or country in the future.
Yeah, the eloquence behind it is just very well written, very well spoken, and I feel like we need more of that side of the story being told, and so a round of applause to her.
And also, when people like the representative and others use these kids, and I get the sense that they never reach out, they never asked any of these kids what their thoughts are on it. They just all of a sudden see, again, an opportunity to talk about these things that just basically, again, I guess I'm not going to get negative. I would say the positive of this young lady, a freshman in high school, it really moved me immensely. So again, thanks to her for I think a very nice start here on this Friday morning. We're going to have Mike Clemens coming up in just a few minutes after an information update. It's Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right, I'm going to call Mike now.
Okay.
2 minutes until we're back, and Mike is on the line.
Terrific. And welcome back. It is Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. I am Chad Holmes from 98.9 WXCO. Guest hosting today for Pat, as Pat will be back from his vacation next Tuesday. But as I tend to do every Friday morning, get the pleasure of talking to our civic media sports reporter, Mike Clemens. First of all, Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Chad. How are you?
Doing terrific. Sunny day, Friday, heading towards another big sports weekend. Always a lot to talk about with you, and always appreciate your time as well. Boy, I mean, it's hard to decide where to start with, because I think there are interesting stories, whether, with the Brewers or whether with the Packers, but gotta ask, because we're already seeing the rumbles. We're seeing some of the stories come out that say Giannis may be open to possibilities outside of Milwaukee. Again, nothing, in terms of anybody naming names or anything like that. I guess let's start right there, because obviously it's going to be with the big offseason NBA story, not just here in Milwaukee or Wisconsin, but I think throughout the entire country, the entire NBA. I'm going to throw it out there. Is there any smoke? Is there any fire out there in terms of Giannis moving on from the Bucks in the offseason?
Yeah, a week ago we were talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, and hey, stand by. Buck season is over with, one and done in the playoffs. So anticipate this, because there's nothing more than some of the networks that pay millions would like to see. Frankly, some of the NBA owners than to see him in a larger market, draws more eyeballs for ratings and for revenue. Then Saturday night, I'm having dinner with a buddy of mine that covered the Bucks for 30 years, has all kinds of NBA connections. You see him at Combine, where not only do the agents come up and say hi, but even some of the players that are now assistant coaches come up. And he, out of nowhere, during our conversation visit, he goes, by the way, I know this has been going on for 5 years, but this week, when should the Bucks trade Giannis stories come up, start paying attention to it. Even to the point where I called, our executive producer, Luke Mathers, is a huge Bucks fan, said, hey, we're on alert here. Because this guy went on for 20 minutes with stories like, oh my God, jaw-dropping stories about, how much of a family man Giannis is, how much the Bucks take care of him in terms of extra considerations regarding that, and why they've made it comfortable for him in Milwaukee. If they want to shoot down to Chicago for a weekend, they can, et cetera, et cetera. But the biggest difference in this story is Damian Lillard and the torn Achilles. I mean, Damian Lillard's going to be 36 next year. in July. Did you know he had abdominal surgery in January of 22, where he was out for the rest of the season for the Trailblazers, missed 47 games. He comes roaring back in 23, has a great year. So then the Bucks make the move for him. He has an Achilles tendon injury where he missed 2 of the games when they lost to the Pacers last year. Then this year, the blood clot and then the torn Achilles. So between that and Brook Lopez, they owe him $23 million. He's 37. Pat Connaughton is 32. Prince is 31. Bobby Portis is 30. Is Giannis really going to get to the promised land with Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., Ryan Rollins, A.J. Green, who's a good shooter at 25? But that's where Giannis has got to say, maybe I need to pay a little attention and see what's going on. So, I'm being told, look for San Antonio or Houston or maybe even the Orlando Magic. And I go, why them? Do you know who's with the Orlando Magic now in the front office?
John Hammond.
John Hammond, who's 70 now, but he's a senior advisor to the president of that team. That's the guy who picked him out of, when he was the GM out of Greece at 19 years old. So there's that kind of comfort zone there. Now, if you talk to Jim Rosowski, who covers the team every day for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, he's like, look, man, I know Wes Edens. I know Jimmy Haslam. They are in no mood for a rebuild right now. They've got 2 years left on this guy. This is their season. This is how they sell season tickets. Come see Giannis, right? They're in no mood to move that guy. But John Horst just renewed with an extension as the GM of the team. He's got to look at if even the Dallas Mavericks, who pulled a rabbit out of a hat and won the lottery the other night, they're in the front row for Cooper Flagg, the hot kid out of Duke. If he makes them a pitch, can the Bucks refuse that offer? So I'm just saying, we're at Civic Media, we're on alert just in case something goes down this summer about Giannis being moved. It's a possibility.
Is there a possibility, though? I read this interesting article talking about maybe a gap year where we remember when Golden State went down for a little bit. Steph Curry didn't force his way out. He stood with the Warriors and then able to, on the other end, to win an NBA championship. Is it imperative of John Horst to maybe pitch a roadmap that maybe this year, with Dame not available, that this year is going to be difficult? But there is a road still to get there in Milwaukee.
I believe there's still a couple of moves he can make, and what he's already got in terms of, and then this gets, when you start talking luxury tax and aprons and that kind of stuff, I get a little lost. But there might still be something around $34 million, and maybe there's a free agent, one more guy that they can bring in, a shooter, to at least replace Damian Lillard for next year. So, he's still holding a couple of cards where he can make moves like that. But in the meantime, how about those Pacers, man? I mean, they beat Milwaukee 4-1. Then they take out the number 1 seed Cavs 4-1, and they're sitting at home waiting for the Knicks and Celtics to wrap things up. So, it's if the Bucks decided, to make the rebuild, there's a case to be made that now is the time to start doing it.
Real quick, did the Knicks close out Boston in Game 6?
I don't know. How about that heroic comeback with the Celtics being able to come back and, make that series? I think it's 3-2 now.
Yeah.
But even after Jason Tatum goes down with the torn Achilles. And by the way, I watched that replay 2 or 3 times. That he took this step back, and it, the thing goes, and it's the Achilles is like a rubber band. It goes when it wants to. But the move he made was the exact same one that Dame made when he went down against the Pacers. I couldn't. You can almost put those two, in split screen, and how it happened to them at center court.
One more quick question I got to ask you, because my dream, the one place I want to see a game is Madison Square Garden. I imagine have you been to the Garden? Have you ever seen? Because it's going to be nuts there.
I have not. No,
oh,
whether it's that or see Billy Joel in his residency. I love that. Ali and Frazier. No,
yeah.
There's so much history there. I've been outside of it, stood outside of it, but haven't seen an event inside there.
Let's turn our attention to the Crew. The Brewers open a series with Minnesota tonight. I got to tell you, with the Brewers, there's just not a lot of juice right now. I don't know. It just feels like, they've been losing a lot of series, 2-1. They're not having long losing streaks, but not having long winning streaks. They need something to kind of juice them up a little bit, don't they?
Back-to-back shutouts in Cleveland. Just could not get the bats going. 3 hits on Tuesday. So they have a little team meeting with Pat Murphy involved. And then they come back out the next night, and then Rhys Hoskins, goes 4 for 4, is 5 RBI, scores a couple runs. The Brewers look like the Brewers. They go 9 to 5. They don't make the errors in the field like Jackson Chourio. The one night the ball goes over his head and they score 3 or 4 runs. The next night the ball comes up short in center field and they score 3 runs. They play smarter defense. They have a little more confidence on the mound. And they finally get their bats going, and that's just what they're going to need to do. It's really amazing, though, that they're only 2 games below 500. But Brandon Woodruff, he was supposed to start tomorrow night after a year and a half off from the shoulder surgery, and I think he's still with the Timberwolves. It was his 6th rehab start. He tweaks his right ankle now. Come off the mound. So they put him on the shelf again. They have to bring back Tobias Myers from Nashville. He'll start tomorrow night. And then Jose Quintana has been a godsend to you. The lefty at 36 years old, he's now got shoulder impingement in his throwing shoulder, where the tendon swells and it gives you pain against the bone. So he's on the 15-day IL. So half dozen qualified starting pitchers, that Pat Murphy's still waiting to get back, so that he can, put together a lineup at night for these guys. But tonight they open up a series against the Twins. The Twins are hot right now.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars night, and so I'll be driving here from Green Bay down to cover that tonight.
And you gave me a note here that just blew my mind. A quarter century of Miller Park / American Family Field. Where has the time gone?
Yeah. 25 years ago, they opened it up as Miller Park. Now it's American Family Field, and they decided to recognize that. So on July 25th, they're going to have the 25th anniversary. And I got a note from the Crew that says that they're bringing back a whole bunch of former players, like Ben Sheets will be there, and Prince Fielder and Corey Hart. No Ryan Braun, but I think Ryan is coming back for the Bob Uecker night that they're going to do in August, so they'll have that. So, yeah, that's going to be a special night, and more details on that at the Brewers website.
You mentioned you're in Green Bay, and obviously it never stops in Green Bay. 12 months a year, there's always something going on in Green Bay. But it seems like maybe it's more outside the lines in terms of dollar signs than actually what's going on between the lines right now, huh?
Yeah, off-season workouts. They're limited as to what they can do, but it's a first chance for these coaches to, get the rookies like a Matthew Golden, your first-round pick, and here's what practice is going to look like. Here's where you line up. You don't do scrimmaging and stuff, but you work on a lot of drills, and you have a lot of meetings to launch a lot of tape. But in that loss to the Eagles, in the playoffs, and this linebacker just comes – Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator, I swear he told the Eagles for this game now it's the playoffs, the flags are just going to stay in their pockets. If you see somebody hit them, I don't care if the ball is away from you, and that's exactly what there's a half dozen times you say them just hitting guys, and this linebacker crashes down on Elton Jenkins' shoulder, his arm just goes dead, a stinger. He comes out, and the Packers are exposed in terms of the depth of their offensive line against the defensive line and end up winning the Super Bowl. So they realize they've got problems at depth. They use a draft pick again on an offensive lineman, and they bring in Aaron Banks from the 49ers to play left guard at $77 million, and they're going to move Elton Jenkins from left guard to center. Well, he's like, wait a minute, you just paid this dude from the 49ers $77 million. I'm getting 68, and I've got 2 years left of my deal. So he's not participating until something gets done. We asked Luke Butkus, the offensive line coach, are you okay? If he's out until training camp, he goes, I came in with Elton Jenkins. I think the world of that man, since 2019. He's going to be fine. This will get resolved, and everything will be fine. And then the other one is Jair Alexander, who, he missed. He only played in 7 games last year after the knee injury. 7 games the year before that. He missed 13 2 or 3 years ago with a shoulder injury, and they owe him $16 million this year. And it's just like, we're not going to pay that. You haven't been able to stay healthy going into your 8th season in the NFL. So he's not participating right now. It looks though like they might be trying to work out a deal, a haircut for him. And his defensive back coach says, I'm in contact with Jair every single day. So we'll see if that gets resolved. One other quick story, Sean Ryan, the right guard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's a guy that drafted in the 3rd round like 3 years ago. And he played some of his rookie season. His second year, he played more, rotating with John Runyon, who went on in free agency. So last year, he eventually becomes the starting guard. There's a thing where if you're a 3rd round pick like he is, and if you play X amount of snaps, like 35% of the snaps, which came out to $963, you go from $1.2 million to over $3 million. You know how many snaps he had? 961. He came up 2 snaps short of $2 million.
Oh, Mike, thanks for the info. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Chad.
We'll have more coming up. Mornings with Pat Kreitlow on Civic Media. Move the chair over. Were the guys that were construction guys trying to get in here? Like when you arrived?
They were. As soon as I walked past the door, they were asking if there was a way to get in the side door. So I unlocked the door. They put the doorstop out there.
I saw them out there, but I was on the air, so I don't know if I can do about it.
They said they didn't want to interrupt you because you were on the air. So good thing I came. Good thing I came in when I did.
They probably were trying to get in yesterday afternoon, but I had to leave early because they moved up the baseball game. So I was like, they probably wondering, where is he coming back? I probably thought I went to lunch instead of I was going to the game.
I remember from last week. No peeking.
No peeking. Did you guys have your rehearsal during all the weather last night?
We did.
Didn't even notice that, huh?
We actually only had a few people who didn't make the last night's rehearsal because of the weather, but honestly, we were still able to do the run through.
Yeah, as long as the walls stay up.
Yeah. Came down pretty good last night. A lot of rain.
60 seconds till we're back.
Okie doke. And welcome back. Again, it is Mornings with Pat Kreitlow here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I am Chad Holmes, sitting in today For Pat Kreitlow, he'll be back next Tuesday. And again, it's been a great time being with you here on this Friday morning. Beautiful start here in central Wisconsin. As I look to my right, so much sunshine, lots of blue skies after all the severe weather that rolled through much of this area and throughout much of the state yesterday. So hopefully everybody has some great plans for the weekend. And real quickly, again, I wanted to just remind you one more time about our Free Ticket Friday. Again, it's our statewide text to win contest, an opportunity for you to be able to win 4 tickets to see the Milwaukee Brewers in action this coming Wednesday against the Baltimore Orioles. And again, 5 different opportunities. We give away 5 different winners, 5 different sets of tickets during Free Ticket Fridays. We have a keyword here for this program. We have a keyword that's coming up after 9 o'clock. Jane Matinair and Greg Bach, Matinair on Air. They will have a separate keyword. So again, make sure that you don't put in the wrong keyword. Listen into all these shows and make sure you put in the right keyword. Then, of course, Tom Hartman. Tom will have another keyword between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Then there's Todd Alba from 2 until 4 and Maggie Dawn from 4 until 6. So again, 5 different opportunities to win tickets to see the Milwaukee Brewers at American Family Field on Free Ticket Fridays. We'll be doing this all summer long. So make sure you tune in each and every Friday. And our keyword for this hour, gold. I want to say it like Yukon Cornelius. You remember Yukon Cornelius?
Oh yes, I remember that.
And if you're looking on our video stream, got my producer and engineer Ian Welsh, because I bring him on for the final segment, and because we have something we're going to do here in a couple moments. But again, gold is the keyword for our statewide text to win contest, our Free Ticket Friday. And if you are a winner, you will be at American Family Field on Wednesday night when the Milwaukee Brewers take on the Baltimore Orioles. So listen to us. This, again, gold is only good for about 5-6 more minutes. At 9 o'clock, it does not work. So if you have not texted it in to win quite yet, do it right now. You're running out of time. Get it in before 9. And then after 9 o'clock, make sure you keep it right here, because Jane and Greg will give you the next keyword. You can get in for another opportunity to win as well. But I do have my in-studio producer and engineer, Ian Welsh, joining us, because if you tuned in for the last, year and a half during my program, and now during the course of mornings, we are with you between 7 and 9 a.m. with local segments, local interviews, local news at 22 and 52 after the hour on 98.9 WXCO. But we always finish up the last couple of minutes of the program with our number for the day quiz. And I got people, when I go off and do games, that will say, hey, I heard Ian's 2 out of 4 this week, or Ian's got 4 out of 5 last week. Well, I think there's some wagering going on when it comes to whether or not Ian is able to get the number for the day correct. And the way we do it is we give him 3 choices. And based on the math and the analytics, based on guessing, 1 out of 3, 33%. So I have a pretty low bar. If he's above 33% for the week, it's a passing grade. If he's below 33%, it's a failing grade. But I have greater expectations for Ian Welsh. I say, okay, a winning week is you get more right than wrong. Yeah. 3 out of 5. If you want an A grade, you have to get 4 out of 5. That's not easy. That's kind of hard. No, and then, of course, the gold standard. Gold, keyword.
Exactly, the keyword.
But the gold standard, 5 out of 5. And we've been doing this about a year and a half. And you had 1 week where you got 5 out of 5. That was not too long ago, about 6 weeks ago or so. Oh, got 5 out of 5, and I think you were walking on air as you left the studio that day. So,
oh my gosh, it was awesome.
But this week you are 2 out of 4. So that means you've got a passing grade for the week. But today is important because you want to have a winning week.
Yes, I do.
Passing grades, those are average. We don't believe in average students around here. We believe in excellence. And we believe in having a winning week. So today you're going to go for a winning week.
Okay.
How do you feel? Do you feel like you're
a little nervous?
Well,
I'm feeling up to it.
And the thing about it is, the thing that people, I don't know anybody that would focus harder than you do when I give you the number for the day quiz. I mean, we see the
sweat coming down.
Yeah, we see the sweat. We see
the fingers tapping.
We actually hear your hands rubbing together on the air. Yeah. Because you're trying to dig down deep.
really
Usually I give you the topic early in the show, but I didn't do that for today. So unfortunately, you're going to have to go in cold. But let's do
It's
it.
okay.
Our number
ready.
for the day quiz with Ian Welsh.
Okay.
On this date, on May the 16th of 1929, the
Okay.
first Academy Awards were held.
Oh,
So back,
Interesting.
96 years ago tonight.
it's a long time.
And of course, nowadays these Academy Awards go for like 4 hours. I mean, there's so
They do.
many categories.
Indeed.
The number for the day is how many categories, how many awards were given in 1929?
The
So,
very first one.
the very first year. How many Academy Award categories were
Okay.
there in the first year of the Academy Awards on this date back
Okay.
in 1929? Your
Like, what-
choices are
Okay.
6 categories,
All right.
12 categories,
Hmm.
or 18 categories.
1929 Academy Awards. 6, 12, or 18, right?
Yep. And you see if you're watching the video, you'll see
Okay.
him going through it, rubbing the hands, beads of sweat.
Okay, I gotta focus here because
You gotta focus, is right.
I want to end on a high note. So 6, 12, or 18 categories in the first Academy Awards, 1929.
6, 12, or 18.
Okay, I'm gonna go with my gut here.
As you always do.
And I'm gonna say, I think that there were 6 categories of the first Academy Awards.
All right.
6 is my final answer. I'm going with A. Final answer.
How many categories were there in the first Academy Awards ceremony back on this date, May the 16th of 1929? There were 12 categories.
Oh, the middle number.
Doggone it. I wanted you to get it right here for the statewide
Yeah.
audience. Well, we'll try again next week.
Yeah.
Luke, thank you for your help. It was
Always
always
a pleasure, Chad.
fun to be in here and great to sit in for Pat Kreitlow. Let's stick around. Coming up, it will be Matt and Air on Air. Another chance to win with Free Ticket Friday as well. Have a great weekend and keep it right here on Civic Media.